Hey, good day, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this lunchtime live. And I was thinking, you know, today we have in the studio Alex Arjun, someone you might or might not know, but we are going to get to know. I'm thinking it's an ideal time, lunchtime, to have a chat and, get to know things that are going on around us. There are a lot of people in our country that do a lot of things that a lot of times do not get the recognition that it deserves. Simply put, Alex has been doing some work with Real, right? It's Real.
Real Guyana, yeah.
Real Guyana. And it's REEL. Right?
R-E-E-L.
Yeah, Real Guyana. He's done some amazing work. And he was just telling me before we came on the live, one time I met him, I think was upstairs at JR,
Yeah.
right? Altitude. And I
Yes,
told him, I
yes.
said, you do amazing videos. But I had a bit of a critique on it and where it was faltering. And now we have the opportunity to sit and, first thing, thanks for coming in, Alex.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Tell us a little bit about who Alex Arjun is. The first thing, before we get into what you do, and so it's a lot of people want to know who Alex Arjun is.
Okay, well, yeah, Alex Arjun is a Guyanese first and foremost, and I guess I'm a number of things. I'm a husband, I'm a brother, I'm a entrepreneur, a filmmaker is what I'm here as in my capacity. And I'm also to a lesser extent, an athlete representing Guyana occasionally. So a lot of things, but my big thing right now is Real Guyana and making films when I can. I do run it as a business, like we're a media company, but filmmaking is like our passion. So we do passion projects between our work, and that's why I'm here today to talk about one of my new films, The March Onwards. Yeah, and that's I run it with my sister Victoria, so it's a family business, you could say.
Nice.
And the goal is just to basically tell as many stories as we can about Guyana, because I always tell people like where we are right now as a country, we're on this massive trajectory, and 5, 10, 20 years down the line, we're gonna look back and not even recognize,
Where's the story?
yeah, where we came from. And then my goal is to like play a part in like archiving all those things from like now. Well, I've started a few years ago, but it's just like I want to be a part of telling the Guyanese story and just sort of continuing to build on that in my capacity. I'm just a very small part, but I think it's important and it's something I enjoy doing. And yeah, that's that.
Well, firstly, I want to thank you for wanting to play a role. I can say you can see it from that perspective because of the opportunities that you've been afforded. A lot of Guyanese would like to play more of a role in our society, but their issues are bread and butter issues. I used to be there, and I thought for quite a while as to what I really want to do, and that's how I became the Guyanese. How do I want to contribute? And similarly, you are doing something that basically in your own way no other has done, because I've looked at your productions, and there is a true story. So everybody has an interest in having themselves promoted, but you have been promoting Guyana in a certain fashion, and then not only telling the story, but high quality stories. So
Thank you.
people might not know they're watching at your production, and your production is at the level of a lot of movies out of Bollywood and these kind of things. You understand? Now, some Indian movies, I could take to Dali and do that. What you just do, you understand, is a real production. So it brings this light, and it puts Guyana on a certain in a certain light, in certain perspective. When the time arises that we're going to be putting that information out there internationally, people are going to be looking at us. I'm thinking, and they look across, if they look at my videos and they look at your videos, they say, well, at least they got options, right? Because my videos are not necessarily the best, right? So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah.
give me a little synopsis about some of the videos you've done and you know, the drive behind that, and then we'll go into the march on as to where you are here now.
Yeah, well, actually, I started out my career at eNetworks. I moved back to Ghana and realized that, I wanted to do something creative and kind of like you actually, and well, not like you. There's nobody like you to reel this thing out again. But I was like, I want to do something like, to talk about issues, whatever. And eNetworks gave me a chance. They put me on a platform on a show called Wrong Tongue, and I would talk about issues like environment and mental health and sort of gender issues and stuff like that. And I spent about almost 2 years there, and then went out and did Real Ghana, where I decided I wanted to make more documentaries. And at the same time, you're doing these things, but you do need to generate an income as well, which is pretty hard in a creative industry in Guyana. And there was opportunity like in the environmental space. I had experience with that through my mom, who's an environmentalist, and yeah, I kind of slowly built my reputation there and continue to tell more stories. Initially, I was the one maybe driving the story with my hosting or whatever, but then later in my career, I just figured that like when you tell stories, it's so much better if it can come from the actual source, as opposed to me like guiding the viewer through.
Tell us story, not your story.
Exactly. It shouldn't be me, or like, so just removing myself kind of is where the direction I'm going in. And a lot of, to be able to do that, as you would know, like reporting on stories, it takes a lot of trust in the people whose story you're telling and whatnot. And I think this particular film has given me that opportunity. But yeah, it's been about 6 going on 7 years of this, and yeah, it's a privilege to be able to just operate in this space. And I thank you for your compliments, but I just got to shout out that there are other filmmakers in different kind of genres doing good stuff too, and we just got to keep, I guess, pushing them. So I'm really grateful to be on your platform, pushing myself. It's like you said, the critique about me you had that one time was that I just don't have enough followers. And you're right, like I don't have maybe I'm not like a big personality, or it's not even something I enjoy, but I
Well, it was
like,
not to put you down. The
no,
intention was to
100%,
tell you.
100%.
The intention was to tell you got a good thing, and I could help
No,
to get it out there.
You meant the best, and
You
I
understand?
appreciate that because that's the
Because
kind of
right away somebody asked me, you know the guy? I said yes.
yeah.
But it's a constant struggle, right? It's constant struggle. My problem is I have been extremely successful at what I do. And a lot of times I had to put aside my pride and all these things to make this thing work, right? I take a beating at times to make this thing work. And when I meet people, they're doing the right thing, but they know sometimes you gotta go down on your hands and your knees to get the job complete. And people are thinking, no, I've done this. I work hard here. You understand? I demand respect. No, you don't get it like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta go down on your hands and your knees to make this thing work. You understand? So this is what I was trying to basically convey to you. What can we expect from Real Guyana come October the 15th, the premiering of The March On?
The March Onwards.
And
Yeah.
what is The March Onwards about?
So The March Onwards is a Real Guyana documentary film based in Region 1 in an area called the Burima Mora Passage. Now, the Burima Mora Passage is the largest mangrove ecosystem in the country. It's actually located on the northwestern part of Guyana, right next to Brazil. And basically in Venezuela.
Oh,
Excuse me, Venezuela. And basically, there are plans for large-scale agriculture in Region 1. Through opportunities like, the new ferry that recently went there. So a lot more people are getting into farming and clearing of land, let's say, for development. And the story talks about how, this potential development has the opportunity to change people's lives for the better and for the worse. Now, within this part of Region 1, there live our indigenous Warao brothers and sisters who rely on mangrove forests for traditional livelihood practices, such as crabbing, which is a big one featured in the documentary. So the story actually focused on two main characters, a farmer by the name of Raymond and a Wara woman by the name of Christina. And it just sort of shows their different perspectives, both looking for opportunity. However, Christina's life is affected due to the fact that mangroves are being cut down due to development, and therefore she has to travel all the way out to sea to go and get crabs. And it's very dangerous, and the conditions are very harsh. And she sort of is coming to terms with how she's going to be dealing with that. And then Raymond, on the other hand, is anticipating the ferry coming to the region, and he's doubled down on his investment for agriculture. So it's kind of like the story of how it's a reflection of Guyanese, trying to persevere for a better life, going through the struggles of humans. And I think it's nice because the story that is because you immediately think, oh, chopping down mangroves bad, we shouldn't do that, but we're doing it here for development as well. And it's not that people want to do it maliciously, it's just they're looking for an opportunity.
Times have changed.
Times have changed, but at the same time we need to sort of look at these circumstances and be like, look, well, we have traditional livelihoods, we want development. How can we sort of develop but have both, keep both in approach it holistically, so one isn't
Create a balance that
lost because
that
of
is
the
not
other.
going to be overwhelming to any
Exactly.
one individual.
Exactly, but that comes with awareness, that comes with community engagement, and that's kind of what I hope the documentary promotes a bit. So it's like, how can we as Guyanese think about these issues? And my documentaries are never to like offer one immediate solution and say we have to do this or we have to do that. It's like, how can we all think about what's important to us as a people, and how do we think about these things moving forward so we can have our voices heard. And one major thing about this documentary, I think it's like almost a metaphor for what we're going through here on the coast, because we have significant development going on here. And what do we have to lose if we're not careful? We might see the things that we don't realize are important to us until down the line, and we're like, oh well, it's gone, but we didn't really make an effort to consider that in our development path. So yeah.
Interesting. And the crabs we're talking about is the Bundari crab.
The Bundari and the Bok crabs, yeah. The red and blue crabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much area do you think, in terms of percentage, how much area do you think is going to be affected by agriculture?
Well, I don't know per se, but the Bremer Moor Passage, the area is, I think, 50 hectares, but 14,000 hectares of mangrove forests.
Okay.
So, I think that's like the major concern, given the fact that mangroves are also our carbon sinks as well. They sequester more carbon than traditional tropical rainforests. And obviously they protect us from, overtopping and whatnot, of riverbanks and stuff like that. So they're very important. But at the same time, if people have the opportunity to do farming, well, we need to figure out a way to still allow them to do that.
Yeah, find some middle ground.
Yeah.
What about all right, I want to go with my kids. I want to go see the premiere of the
Well,
March.
we're having a private showing for our sponsors and public officials this week. But which you're invited to if you can make it. But if you want to if you're the general public and you want to see this documentary, we'll be premiering on the 15th of October at 6 p.m. On all of Real Guyana's Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram channels. I believe we will also be airing here as well as Visit Guyana and Newsroom. So we're getting a lot of
So the 15th, people could look forward to it.
Yeah.
Look, all of Real Guyana's social media platforms, and we will also be putting it out, and Visit Guyana and Newsroom. You can look for it there. So I'm gonna sneak in the private viewing, get some snippets for you guys. I going in and nobody gonna stop. I get some snippet for you guys to know what is coming on the 15th, and maybe I could basically critique on what I would have seen before the 15th, so you guys could know what to look forward to. Again, Alex, I want to thank you for doing this, because Georgetown got me, and I go to Region 1 I went across right away across Region One to see how the Warriors were doing. That is how we decided to bring Warriors to for as laborers for our company because the circumstances under which they were living under. But too many times, persons in these far-flung communities are left behind. They don't have anybody to speak for them. So I'm grateful that this documentary is going to give them an opportunity to voice, although it's not as controversial as I would do things. It gives both parties a voice and considerate representation. So again, I want to thank you
Thank you so
for
much.
that,
I appreciate
and
it.
I'm hoping something valuable comes out of the message that you're taking out there,
Definitely.
and I'm hoping you come back here and tell me what is the result of it a year from now,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that result is one that would be favorable to our Guyanese brothers and sisters.
If you don't mind, I just would just like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor.
Beautiful.
So for creatives, it's not really easy to find support to get our work out there and to be sort of reimbursed and compensated and pushed into the direction of success, especially by different organizations here. And I just want to thank Republic Bank because through their Power to Make a Difference campaign, an initiative, they have supported us as well as the Guyana and mostly the Guyana Marine Conservation Society, who are the real conservation heroes in this area. So without their help, none of this would have been possible. And I just want to thank them and again, thank you so much for all your support.
Don't mention, buddy, anytime. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in, and look out for the premiering on the 15th of October of The March On.